Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the story about Naruto. What if Naruto and Ino get arranged married? Part 3. So let's start the video. The next day Naruto got up and after getting ready came downstairs and found his new family at the table eating, saw a plate for him waiting. Naruto sat down and said, "So how's everyone today?" Everyone looked at him and smiled, and Shizune said to Naruto, "Can I ask you something?" Naruto waited till he swallowed his food and shook his head yes, while looking at her. Shizune said, "What do you really think about us?" Truthfully. Naruto closed his eyes for a moment and then said, as he looked at them truthfully, "I love you all. I know it's weird me knowing you all different, but you not knowing me. I admit when I first found out who you all were I was hurt, because I had been alone all my life family-wise beside the third who was like a grandpa to me, when he could before he died. But you all had become precious to me in my other life. Mom, you were like a sister to me that would help doctor me when I was hurt emotionally or physically more than I could take. Grandpa, you were the uncle nobody likes to talk about, but you taught me a lot and helped me grow strong and proud. Grandma, you were like the aunt who would spoil me when she could, and nobody was looking. Everyone in the village found out the hard way. Never call me demon when you were around, because you had to build a whole wing to the hospital just for victim of your wrath, and I made you put a few gray hairs in. You're from the hell I caused you. We may have not known then we were related until it was too late, but you were and are my family that I love." Shizune got up and hugged Naruto before crying. After a while she finally stopped, and they finished their dinner. Shizune said after they finished cleaning up, "Let's go get you some new clothes with your clan symbol." They all left together and headed into town. They stopped by the Umanko flower shop and picked up Ino. As they were leaving, Tsunade asked Ino, "Why are you walking with a limp today?" Ino looked at Naruto and said, "I pushed myself too hard yesterday, and I am sore today." Tsunade said, "Ah, I understand. That's common anyways." She then did a few seals, and her hands started to glow green, and touched Ino's stomach and legs, before saying that should help. "I suggest going easier from now on. More enjoyable and less aches." Jiraiya laughed and Shizune shot into a look that said, "What are you doing with my son, and we need to talk." They finally made it to the Wolf Claw weapon shop and walked in. The man behind the counter said, "Hi, my name is Dustin and welcome to my family shop. How can I help you?" Tsunade said, "We are here to get Naruto some new clothes and supplies." Dustin smiled and said, "Sure, just help yourself and if you need anything ask." Shizune said, "Go ahead and get whatever you want." They started looking around the shop, and Naruto stopped and said, "Can you make custom weapons?" Everyone looked at him, and Dustin said, "Yes, I can. I just need you to write down what you need and I can make anything." Naruto nodded and picked up a blank scroll and a paintbrush and started writing. Everyone else left him alone and looked around the shop. 5 minutes later he stopped and rolled up the scroll and said, "I need the weapon on this scroll made in the quantity order with the seals engraved into it, and please do not tell anyone the info on it, besides whoever has to help with them." The man nodded and opened the scroll and dropped it and said, "Are you messing with me, kid?" Naruto said, "No. I am serious. I take it from the look you know what those are for, so I will just say please be careful with that info, if you can make them." Dustin said, "I can make them, that's not the problem, because I made them before. I just never expected someone to know them. Can I catch your name?" Naruto said, "My name is Naruto." Shizune said, "Kazama, Naruto Kazama." Dustin said, "Now I know why you know Hiraishin." Everyone but one stopped and looked at Naruto when they heard that, and Naruto said, "I don't. I never could write it, because I had had most of the seals damaged, and I had to start from almost scratch to create a version of it. If I had the original seals I might have been as good as Dad. Mine only lets me go about 100 feet between work." Dustin nodded and said, "I can make these seals on the scroll for you, but I still have the master mold with the original seals still intact in a secret vault. I could make you some to try and master Hiraishin then." Naruto said, "Can you make 200 of the ones I wrote and put the appropriate seals into both sealing scrolls, and make 10 of the other ones?" Ino said, "What exactly is the Hiraishin you are talking about?" Jiraiya said that it earned Yondaime the nickname Yellow Flash. Ino said, "Oh. If Naruto drew those strange kunai he used before, then his was a red flash, but it ate his chakra like a kid in a candy store. After doing it almost 200 times he was almost dead from exhaustion." Naruto went through the ninja clothing, and found some black shinobi clothes similar to his shapeshift clothes he has on, but noticed these were better with built-in holsters for shurikens, scrolls, and still have room for more. Naruto decided to try them on, and he also found a jacket with a strap for his sword. He got a few soldier pills packs and first aid packs with blood replenishing and clotting pills, and some medical wrapping. He went to the changing room to change. When he came out in a pair of black ninja pants, and a tight black fishnet shirt, and a black ninja vest halfway zipped over it with the jacket on also unzipped with his sword on his back, he noticed that Ino was standing there waiting to see him, and Tenten was beside he. He smiled and said, "So how do I look?" Ino said it was good enough to eat. "This is Tenten, her family owns this place. Tenten, I would like you to meet Naruto, my fiancé." Tenten had a small amount of drool hanging, and after Ino snapped her fingers said, "I think you were in my class 2 years back." Naruto said, "Yeah, I was. I goofed around too much back then." Ino saw the look on Tenten's face and knew it well and said, I think that should be all for today, Naruto. Let's get you a few more copies of those and have them altered. Naruto nodded and went back inside to change back, and Ino said, like what you see, Tenten. Tenten blushed and said, I don't know what you are talking about, Ino. Ino said, relax, I know he's a great guy. That's why I am going to marry him when we get old enough. Tenten said, you're lucky. Ino smiled and said, thanks. Do you really like him? Tenten said, he's cute and from what I remember he was a decent guy, but I don't know much about him. Why? Ino said, I know this sounds odd, but you see, we already found out I can't have kids for a reason, and Naruto was told that since he comes from such a special family, he has to marry more than one girl and have children. Naruto does not want to do it, because he is faithful to me, but the council will force him to, so I decided that I would have to find someone who is nice and decent enough for him that would treat him right, and, since I knew you for a few years now, and saw you drooling earlier, I would give you a shot to get to know him and maybe one day marry him. He can go against the council, and if he does not follow the rules and produce an heir, the council will pick some slut off the street and force him to marry her. Tenten was stunned and said, so let me get this straight. Because of his family background he has to have a child, and since you can't have one you are pimping him out. Ino laughed and said in a manner of speaking, yes. So what do you say? Tenten thought for a moment and said, I will agree to date him once and go from there. If I don't like him I will back out. If I do, then fine. They watched as Naruto put his clothes on the counter, and Shizune and Tsunade explained what they wanted on his clothes and paid. Both girls walked up to them, and Ino said, tonight at 6, okay? Tenten nodded as they all left. Dustin said, what was that all about? Tenten said, I got a date tonight at 6 with Naruto. Dustin said, I thought the way that Ino was all over him, she was with him. Tenten said, she is, but since they are getting married she is trying to solve a problem before it starts. Dustin said, what? Tenten said she can't have kids, and because of who his family is he has to have children, so she decided she would find him the right woman before the council picks up some random girl off the street. Dustin said, and you're okay with that? Tenten said, I don't know. That's why I agreed to the date. Naruto said, as he was walking with his family and Ino, to get some ramen. So, what was that all about? Ino said, you have a date with Tenten tonight at 6. Everyone looked at her like she was crazy, and Naruto said, what? Ino sighed and said, I know you, Naruto. You would defy the council, and get in trouble and still have to marry someone of their choosing, so I decided I would find someone who is a good person who we both could get along with, and set you up on a date, so you can get to know them, and then you and everyone wins. Tsunade said to Shizune, looks like your future daughter-in-law is the take charge kind of woman. Shizune sighed and grabbed the notebook from Jiraiya and said, you are not putting my son in that damn book. Sarah walked up to Ino and said, honey, I need you to look after the shop for me. Ino said, why can't dad? Sarah said, your dad is in the hospital again and I gotta go buy another broom. Ino burst out laughing, and said, you used that again, what did he do this time? Sarah said, he said I was not as thin as I was when I was younger, so I used that 1,000,000 years of broomstick he taught me. Everyone burst out laughing and Tsunade said, how did you learn that, Ino? I know they taught it after I created the first version for the pervert over here, but I say that's a new one. Ino said, from before Naruto taught me by trying it on me. I learned that 1,000 years of pain was used on him by Kakashi during the bell test. I beat the hell out of him for that, and made him learn about female anatomy from you and those books. Sarah said, as she walked with them, I see you are not limping anymore. What happened anyways? Jiraiya, being the pervert he is said to be, from my guess, she and Naruto acted like rabbits. Naruto said, I taught Ino that version, but I created my own version. It involves an exploding tag in 5 seconds. Our personal life is not your concern. Jiraiya paled and waved it off and said, everyone's personal life is my concern. I have my fans to think about. Naruto suddenly disappeared and reappeared behind Jiraiya and shoved up his, but with a flash tag instead of an exploding tag. Jiraiya sailed through the air and dissolved into rock as the tag exploded. The real Jiraiya landed beside Naruto and said, I give you 8.5 on execution, but the landing I only give you is 6.9. Naruto sighed and said, I thought I would at least get a 9.0 on execution. Oh well, there's always next time. Everyone laughed and Ino said bye and Sarah went to the hospital again. They finally got some ramen, and then went home to relax. Naruto started to plan for tonight, and decided just for a picnic in the park. 2 weeks have passed since Team 7 got back from the wave, and Naruto had his date with Tenten. He had already signed the Toad contract, as well as Slug to make Tsunade happy. He spent a lot of time getting to know his family better and hear about his dad and other relatives. Tsunade discovered never to bet against Naruto because he will win. Flashback. Naruto had just picked up his weapons from the Wolf Claw weapon shop and went back to the Kazama Estates. News had spread across town about his engagement to Ino, but no one knew how they found out, since both Ino and Sakura had kept quiet. Naruto started practicing with him, and after an hour he was able to transport from each, as long as they were 100 feet apart or closer. Naruto then tried with the 10 original Hiraishin no Kunai, and could not perform anything. He tried for about 4 hours with no results when Tsunade walked out and said, "So how's it going, Brad?" Naruto said, "Not good. My eye design work like I used to, so I am confident in them, but they still eat too much chakra. I am working with the originals now, but nothing works." Tsunade said, "Your dad was a genius, and no one could figure it out. Just give up already." Naruto said, "No, I won't give up, because I will figure it out. It's a promise, and I will never go back on my word." Tsunade smiled and said, "You are just wasting your time, kid. You just don't have what it takes to do it." Naruto got mad and said, "You want to bet?" Tsunade, not one to back down from a bet, said, "Sure, what's the odds?" Naruto said, "If I can perform the Hiraishin no in 48 hours, you have to give me that necklace." Tsunade thought for a moment and said, "Fine, but if I win you have to quit calling me old." Naruto said, "Deal your old bag." Tsunade's eyes twitched as she left to go get some sake. 24 hours later, Naruto had worked throughout the night and was exhausted and not figured out how to do it yet when he fell on the ground asleep. Shizune came out and picked him off the ground and took him inside the house. Naruto woke 12 hours later and ate real quick before going back out to work on it. Tsunade came out and said, "Give it up. You can't do it." Naruto said, "What's the matter, you old bag? You're scared I will do it." Tsunade sighed and said, "I swear you are just like your dad was. Stubborn and proud." Naruto smiled and said, "Damn straight." He then stopped for a moment and looked at the kunai in his hand. After a moment he started laughing. Tsunade said, "What's so funny?" Naruto said, "I am an idiot. I have been doing it wrong this whole time. I have been channeling my chakra before throwing it and then forcing my chakra into my body to trigger it to work." Tsunade said, "What does that have to do with anything?" Naruto said, "Simple. The secret is a seal I just noticed. It's a storage seal, a simple storage seal. All you have to do is send enough chakra into the to reach the storage seal. Once it's full, that's it. Once it hits something and the storage seal is triggered. He then throws the, and when it hits the tree, a yellow and red flash appears, and Naruto is standing by the." Tsunade said, "How did you do that?" Naruto said, "It's a summon seal. Whoever's chakra is in the storage seal will be summoned when it is triggered. The user does not have to channel chakra into his or her body. It's all present." Tsunade said, "But that would mean that after the first time someone could just use chakra and use it." Naruto said, "No, there's a signature seal hidden in all the others. Mine have it also, so I recognize it. It is key to whoever channels chakra into it first. Anyone else's chakra will just pass by the storage seal. And you know what the best part is? I don't have to worry about chakra exhaustion again, because it's already in the... Well, I guess I won the bet." Tsunade smiled and hugged Naruto after giving him her necklace. Flashback end. He has also had several more dates with Tenten, but laughs when he remembers what happened. Flashback. Naruto and Tenten were in the park sharing a picnic lunch Naruto had made, and were just talking when Sakura showed up, and the first thing she thought was he was cheating. She charged right up and said, "How can you be cheating on Ino after everything you've been through? It was just yesterday you both had sex. Or you just using her and then dropping her?" Naruto stood up and tried to say something, when Sakura punched him in the face, and stormed off to see Ino, but not before turning to Tenten and saying "slut" as she left. Naruto sighed and said that girl has got to control her other personality. Tenten said she suffers from MPD, multiple personality disorder. Naruto nodded and said, "Yeah, one does all the talking and the other does all the action. That's how you can tell which is in charge." Tenten laughed and said, "So, at least she's not as bad as my teammate Lee." Naruto laughed and into Lee and said, "Sakura, my sweet, I will protect you with my life. Will you go out with me and spread the power of youth?" And drop the henge. Tenten was rolling on the ground laughing. She finally calmed down and said, "How do you know how Lee looks and sounds?" Naruto said, "Who doesn't, but he is okay if you can get him away from Guy. Niji needs that stick removed from his ass. Fate this and fate that. I swear if he farts he would say fate decided it would happen." Tenten laughed again, and said, "You act like you know them your whole life, as well as me, but you may just barely know each other. How's that?" Naruto sighed and said, "I learned how to read people a long time ago, and I know a lot more about people than they think I do. When everyone ignores you they tell a lot without realizing you're there, and here it is." Tenten smiled and saw a shooting star and said, "Make a wish." Naruto said, "I only have one wish. To protect all my friends and family and they all live a long happy life." Flashback end. It was a good date, and they have had 2 more dates with Ino. Sakura told Tenten and Naruto she was sorry after she found out the truth. Currently Team 7 was on their way through Snow Country protecting Fujika's Yuki. The Hokage remember, as well as Kakashi, when Naruto mentioned she was the actual princess of Snow Country. They had already met the Natter in battle, and things went just like before. Naruto was standing on the tracks, as the train, that chased them through the tunnel, stopped. Naruto knew what was fixing to happen, and the people who would die quickly summoned Silga, and said, "I want you to destroy that train before they attack." Silga blasts a stream of water out of her mouth that freezes when it hits the train, stopping the doors from opening. She then goes and swipes the trail with one of her giant paws, knocking it off the track and down the hill. Naruto then releases her and watches as men exit the train and run. He then hears a scream behind him and sees Yuki already in the airship and can't reach her this time. Naruto quickly starts running on the ground following the airship. Kakashi screamed for him to stop, but it fell on deaf ears. Kakashi said, "Well, we don't have a choice. We will have to track Naruto later. For now let's get you all to safety. We will then go after Naruto and save the princess. They will kill her while I have this." As he holds out the hexagon crystal. Naruto was running through the woods by treetop following the airship as it took Yuki away. He travels for several hours, and the airship slowly gets further away every minute. Every moment feels like the fate of his one-time friend is slipping away. After running to the point of exhaustion, he finally sees the airship land at a castle. Naruto decided to rest a little while, as he collapses from exhaustion of staying warm, summoning and chasing after the airship for several in snow-covered trees. Naruto woke to a little pug dog named Puckin sitting on his chest. Puckin said, he has finally awakened Kakashi. Before he disappears is a puff of smoke. Kakashi sighs and says, "You're lucky we found you or you might have died." Sakura walked over and hit him and said, "I don't want to have to tell Ino that you died for being stupid." Sasuke just hummed in his usual attitude. Naruto said, "Sorry for worrying you. I tracked them to that castle west of here. The airship landed before I passed out." Kakashi nodded and said, "Okay, here's the plan. Naruto, you and Sakura are to come in from the east side of the castle quietly and try to find and rescue the princess. Sasuke and I will cause a distraction at the front gate." With that, the two teams split. Naruto and Sakura made it to the east side of the castle and looked for any way to get in. Naruto looked up and saw a window about 400 feet up, and the entire wall was covered in ice. Naruto looked at Sakura and said, "I can get us in, but you won't like how and you will have to trust me." Sakura said, "I trust you. So how do we get it?" Naruto shapeshifted into his true form and his nails grew, and his tail appeared. Naruto then grabbed Sakura with 5 of his tails and jabs a clawed hand into the ice. He repeated this again and again, slowly making it up the wall. Sakura did not like being carried like this with one tail per arm and leg, and another around her waist started to squirm. Naruto stops his climb and whispers, "Please stop moving or I might drop you." Sakura stopped and they continued up the wall. Once they made it to the window, they climbed in and Naruto changed back to look normal. Sakura used her radio and said, "We're inside, starting to look now." And they started to search. Sasuke and Kakashi were chasing 2 women across the bridge. Grabbed one woman and pinned her to the castle wall and started to grab at her clothes, while Sasuke did the same to the other. Both women screamed for help. A pair of snow ninja appeared and grabbed Sasuke and Kakashi away from the girls and punched both while the women continued to scream. When the punches hit both, Sasuke and Kakashi disappeared, and the 2 snow ninja collapsed from being hit from behind, as the 2 women changed into the real Sasuke and Kakashi. Sasuke looked at Kakashi and said, "I can't believe you made me do that." Kakashi said, "At least now you could say you know what it's like to feel like a woman. You still can't say you've been with one though. That will be next time." And they both went inside the castle. Naruto never did like just looking, decided the frontal assault would be better, and created 100 cage buncheons, and had half henge into Sakura and start looking for Yuki. Kakashi and Sasuke were heading down some stairs, when Naruto and Sakura came running by them, and Naruto said, "Not down there." Kakashi stopped and then they came back and said, "Not up there." A few minutes later another set came out of a hallway, and said, "Not down the hall." Suddenly 10 pairs of Naruto and Sakura appeared at the same time and said, "Any luck?" And looked at Kakashi and Sasuke and said together, "Don't just stand there and help us find her." Together at the same time. Sasuke grabs his hair in his hands and starts pulling out chunks of hair, before grabbing and starts destroying all the pairs, screaming, "Woe's your daddy, is the bitch now, die little whore. Can you feel it, huh, huh?" Kakashi's sweat drops and slowly backs away. Naruto stopped in his tracks and Sakura said, "What's wrong?" Naruto said, "Sasuke is fucked up. He's killing all my clones and saying some crazy stuff." Sakura said, "You already told me Sasuke screwed up, what's new?" Sasuke came running around the corner without his pants, screaming, "You want some of this?" A huge door opens into the hallway, and Dato looks out to see what's going on, and Sasuke screams, "Oh, here another bitch," for a big Sasuke pinned mobile. And then charges at Dato. Dato runs and hides behind Yuki. Sasuke says she is not my type and grabs Yuki, and throws her into the air. Kakashi appears and catches her, but drops the hexagon crystal. Dato sees it and runs and bends over to grab it. Sasuke appeared behind him and said, "I knew you would like this." Dato rolled to the side to get away and kicked Sasuke in the nuts. Sasuke fell to the floor and said, "If you wanted to go first you just had to ask." Before he fell to the floor asleep. Dato got up and ran out of the room for his life. Naruto, who saw this, ran after him, only to hear Sasuke say something that stopped him in his tracks. "Get away from him, Ino. He's my man, not yours." Naruto ran over to Sasuke and dropped back and kicked him, as hard as he could, and Sasuke flew across the room and hit a wall. Kakashi saw this and said, "I would have gone for the 2-point conversion." Naruto turned and ran after Dato. Sakura walked over to Kakashi and said what the hell happened. Kakashi said, I think we broke him somehow and we don't have a warranty. Sakura said, do you think we can fix him? Kakashi said, I don't have any duct tape. Naruto was chasing Dato down the hall and was catching up, but not fast enough. He quickly summoned two medium-sized two-tailed foxes that were running with him. Naruto said, the man ahead of me is chasing. I need you to catch and stop him for me. The two foxes charged after Dato and each bit into his legs' hamstrings to stop him. Naruto appeared above him with a Rasengan and drove it into his back since he was face down. Dato died from the attack. Naruto grabbed the crystal and walked back to the others. Sasuke stirred a moment later with a smile on his face and said, I had a great dream. He tried to stand up and felt hurt and sore. He then looked around and said, I guess it was not a dream. He then looked off into space. He then said, I wonder if it was as good for Naruto as it was for me. Naruto, who had walked into the room a few seconds before, heard that and quickly grabbed the closest female, who happened to be Yuki, and started rocking back and forth. Yuki, who was also terrified of Sasuke, now just comforted Naruto. 1 week later, back in Konoha, the Kazamas stayed in Naruto's bedroom. Ino walked in and saw Naruto rocking back and forward, and some beautiful woman holding him. Ino said, can I ask why you are holding Naruto like that? Yuki said he suffered extreme emotional shock on his mission. His job was to protect me from my uncle, which he did. His teammate Sasuke went nuts and caused this. He won't let me get farther than 5 feet away before going into shock. Ino sighed and said, I think I can help him, but you will have to hold him. Yuki said, I don't mind. He's a nice and cute guy. Are you his sister? Ino laughed and said, I will tell you, after I get out of his mind. Ino enters Naruto's mind, and he collapses, and a few minutes later she comes out, and says, you weren't kidding. I sealed his memories of it, so he should not remember. That was some crazy stuff, and he would not let you even go to the bathroom alone. At least he respected your privacy. So tell me, what do you think of Naruto? Team 7 had been put on temporary medical leave with 2 members having mental breakdowns. The week flew by and a lot of things happened. She finally agrees to let's start her 4-man team with a medic, so she has recently started teaching all female ninja under the age of 25 medical skills. Shizune had been spending most of her time helping Naruto with the last of the dependency he grew well in Snow Country. Mostly it was getting to know the real Naruto, likes, dislikes, hobbies, dreams, and they made an agreement not to look at his and Ino other life experiences, since they were young again, but create new ones here. It took a few days, but after they spent time together, Shizune, Jiraiya, and Tsunade noticed that Naruto still kept an emotions mask on. They finally got him to break it with help from his future wives. Naruto was currently in his family library reading when came in to see him. She sat down beside him and said, so, what are you reading? Naruto said, I was reading one of the first scrolls on growth in Milkuten Hijutsu, Jukai Koten, wood release secret technique, birth of dense woodland. I wanted to try and see if I might be able to do it, because of something that happened once. Shizune said, you know, I am proud of you. Naruto stopped reading and looked at her and said, thanks mom. That means a lot to me. Shizune said, so you want to go outside and try those? Naruto nodded and rolled up the scroll and headed outside. Once they made it to the backyard, he performed the hand seals for growth and tried it, but nothing happened. He tried again and the same. Shizune walked over and said, why don't you try what happened before and see if it worked? Naruto melted down and put his hand on a small tree and channeled chakra into it and said growth. The tree started growing bigger and taller. It kept growing until Naruto stopped. Shizune ran over to him and said, we got to show Tsunade. She then ran inside and a few moments later Shizune and Tsunade both came out. When they got out, Tsunade said, what is so important? Naruto walked to another small tree and repeated what he did, and the tree grew again. Tsunade fell on her, but it looked at Naruto and said, looks like you have some of your grandfather's bloodline. Naruto smiled and said, I can only do it like this, and it's different from what was on this scroll. Tsunade said, perhaps you will have to do it differently, or perhaps someone forgot to include something in the scroll. Anyways, good job, Brad. Tsunade and Jiraiya wedding was a small affair. Flashback. The third was standing in the backyard of the Kazama household. The wedding was not a big affair. The only people present besides the bride and groom were Shizune, Naruto, Ino, Tenten, Inoichi, Sarah, Dustin, Yuki, Sakura, and Kakashi. The third said, dearly beloved, we are. Tsunade said, this damn dress is hot, so just cut to the chase. The third sighed and said, do you take? Tsunade said yes. Jiraiya said, don't ask, you already know I said yes. The third said, then I pronounce you Mr. and Kazama. You may kiss the bride. Jiraiya and Tsunade kissed and he grabbed her ass, and she sent him sailing through the air. Kakashi said, so why did he take the Kazama name? Naruto said, she told me it's because the first and second erase all traces of our family real last name for protection, and since they both came up with the name Kazama for dad, when they hid him in the orphanage, to protect him from their enemies, they decided to both take it in memory of him. Kakashi smiled and said, makes sense, so which of you are catching the flowers? The girls got into a pretty big fight between Sakura and Tenten. Somehow weapons and ninjutsu got involved, and the flowers got destroyed in the fight. Flashback ends. Yuki had decided to stay in Konoha because the snowy country just brought up many memories for now. She is still the princess, but she let her personal guard and best friend who made her return run the country for now, since he knows the condition there better than her. She did start the spring for her home country and they rejoiced and accepted her request to be an official diplomat to her country in Konoha. Ino and Tenten both got closer and helped Yuki adjust to Konoha life better. Ino had requested from her family to let her move in with Naruto, and they agreed for different reasons. Her mom agreed because her little girl was all grown up and wanted to live in the world on her own. Her dad agreed so the chance of Ino teaching her mom another like the broom handle was slim. Tenten dad was not going to allow it, but after a little persuasion he agreed. Flashback. Dustin stood with his arms crossed and said, "I am not going to allow it until you are married." Tsunade and Jiraiya, who came by to make a surprise order for Naruto, saw this, and Tsunade said, "What if I can assure you that Tenten will be marrying Naruto?" Dustin said, "How can you ensure that?" Jiraiya said, "That was what we came to see you about today. As the current head of the Kazama family, we wanted to go ahead and have you make some custom wedding rings for us, with the Horatian engraved into it. We need 4 rings made, and on the top of the rings we need the Kazama clan symbol engraved." Dustin said, "I still don't follow, and why for?" Tsunade said, "The surprise is after the exam. Naruto, Ino, Tenten if she wants to, and Yuki if she wants to get married. The council has already started to push since someone spotted Naruto using his bloodline. They want heirs as fast as possible, so they are forcing it. As for the last ring, they already heard about Ino not being able to have kids, and said he would have to find at least one more if they will. He has 2 years to find one." Dustin said, "What bloodline does he have?" Tsunade said, "The first wood manipulation ability." Dustin sighed and said, "Well, you said you wanted to date him and I will support you either way, so what do you want?" Tenten said, "I want to marry his dad. He's a great guy from everything I can tell." Dustin said, "Very well, I support your daughter, and I know your mom would also if she was alive. I guess it means I need to hire a new helper since you won't be coming by." Tenten said, "Why is that?" "Just because I am getting married, and someday have kids doesn't mean I can still help you." Jiraiya said, "Also I wanted to inform you, as we are going to inform the Yamenko flower shop, if either of you need any help, physically or economically, we will help you out since we are all family, so our legacy will have proud and strong families." Dustin smiled and said, "So what are you waiting for? I am not getting any younger." Everyone laughed. Flashback end. Ino took the room beside Naruto's on the left, Tenten on the right, and Yuki, since she was new and did not have a place to stay, took the room across the hall from Naruto. The entire family lived in the west wing of the house. The east side, Shizune and Tsunade, turned into classrooms for medical training. Because of Team 7 being down Team 9, Gisa's team took the mission to T Country. Ino told Tenten she would take care of Naruto for her while she was gone. Sakura had her first run-in with them. Flashback. Tenten was in a classroom at the Kazama house with Hinata, Sakura, and Ino, based on age and ranks. Suddenly a shout of dynamic entry was heard, and the door to the room was busted of the hinges, and Guy was standing there and said, "Oh, my beautiful student Tenten. We have a most youthful mission for the Hokage. Meet at the south gate in an hour." Suddenly a carbon copy of Guy came in and said, "Sensei, I was able to inform you about our youthful mission." And they both hugged, and a sunset with ocean appeared in the background. "Lee, Guy Sensei. Lee, Guy Sensei." They finally broke apart and shouted dynamic exit and were gone. Tsunade came to see what was up and screamed, "Guy, you're paying for that door." Lee started to leave, but he saw Sakura and went over to her and said, "What is your name?" Sakura said, "Sakura." Lee said, "Oh, a beautiful name for a beautiful goddess. Sakura, my sweet, I will protect you with my life. Will you go out with me and spread the power of youth?" Tenten started rolling on the floor laughing and said, "I can't believe it, word for word." Naruto said Lee would do that word for word. Sakura freaked out and said, "Get a haircut, and shave those eyebrows, and maybe get a new outfit that is not spandex." Lee then shouted, "Yes, I will do this, and if I still cannot get Sakura to go out with me, I shall shave all my hair off and run 100 laps around Konoha. If I cannot do that, then I will." Tenten said, "Lee, the mission." Lee screamed, "Yes, can't be late for the power of youth." And then he left. Tenten right behind him. Sakura looked at Ino and said, "Is it the Lee you told me about?" Ino nodded and Sakura said, "Where do they keep the sake in this place?" Hinata giggled and finally composed herself, as both girls looked at her. Ino decided to have a sisterly talk. She said, "Hinata, are you mad that I am with Naruto, as well as Tenten?" Hinata started putting her fingers together, and said, "Why would I be?" Ino said, "You had a crush on him for years." Hinata said, "Who told you?" Ino said, "It's easy to pick up. I want you to actually think before answering this next question. Tell me, Hinata, do you love Naruto as a person, or is it because he inspires you to be more than you are, with his self-confidence and never back down or go back on his word?" Hinata thought for a moment, and said, "Since I don't actually talk to him much, I don't really know him as a person. I do see him as everything else you said." "Why?" Ino said Naruto explained this to me and Sakura, and is planning on it also, so I will save him from doing it. Hinata, you look at him as a big brother, not a boyfriend or lover. You do have those thoughts, but you force yourself to do it, and that's why you faint around him. You respect him for showing you how you should live since your family makes it hard. Naruto is actually smarter than people think. He told me about why he never said anything before now. Hinata was looking down and said why. Is it because I'm too weak? Naruto, who was standing at the door, said no, it's because my little sister. I talked to your dad back when I first noticed a crush, and he asked me to try and be a role model for you. Your family council had your dad over at Bearland, still does. I hope to help with that, but I don't have the power right now. The cage bird seal. Your dad is afraid the council will put it on you or your sister. By all rights, Hanabi should have had it put on her at the age of 3, but since your father has made you think you are weaker than you are, he has sat the council, where they can't put it on either. I agreed to be a role model because I always felt you were like a little sister. That's why I ignored the crush you had on me, and acted like an idiot over it. Do you understand? Hinata thought for a moment, and said, so the love I have for you is a brotherly love. Naruto said yeah. If it was not, then you would not have to force your mind and body to fight each other, which causes you to faint. When you find your one true love, it won't matter what is wrong in the world. All that matters is you and that person. You can actually be you and not what people think you are. Hinata smiled and said, I understand. When did you get such a wise brother? Naruto said, damn it, just because I am an idiot when it comes to books does not mean I am not smart the rest of the time. And he stormed off with everyone else laughing. Flashback end. Sasuke was still in the office with Anko after a week. Ibiki had already been put on medical leave for emotional stress. Anko sighed and went to the. When Anko arrived, the third said, so is there anything that can be done for him? Anko said, I can only think of one thing to do, but you would have to find someone willing to do it. The third said, in this village I don't think that would be a problem. What is it? Anko said, basically the only thing I could think is for someone to fuck him. If his brain is stuck, as being an emo, then either he needs a woman's touch, or you can kiss the Sharingan bye-bye. The third said, I will see what I can do. Any particular type of woman you would suggest? Anko thought for a moment and said, I would put someone into bondage, because he is going to have to be chained down for it to work. The third thought, and said, very well. I will consider it. Dismissed. The third looked at Kakashi and said, so what do you think, Kakashi? Kakashi thought for a moment and said, I think you should just have Inoichi go in and block the memories of everything that happened from entering the castle to now. The third said, I agree. That's better than any other options. Now let's see what Kakashi really was thinking. Sasuke was currently on a table naked and had both his arms tied to the side and his legs tied also. He had a gag over his mouth so he could not speak. He was in a solid white room with fluorescent lights. The door opened and a woman with 2 red tattoos on her face walked in with a backpack. The woman said, my name is Emilia. I was sent here to re-educate your mind and body in the ways of women. And with that she reached into her bag and pulled out a horsewhip. Snack. Sasuke's Sharingan appeared for the first time. Emilia said, so I see you got your eyes now and remembered everything. That's good. She then proceeds to strip and have her way with him. Every time he tried to protest he got wiped again. If he did not do what she said, another whip. 3 hours later Emilia came out of the room and said, well, I did all I can do. He has the 2nd level of the Sharingan now, so that's good. If you ever need me again, you know where to find me. And with that she leaves. A few minutes later Sasuke came out and saw Kakashi standing there and said, I want to go home now. Kakashi said, how do you feel? Sasuke looked at Kakashi and flashed his Sharingan and said, I feel like a man. Kakashi smiled. End of Kakashi fantasy. It had been a week since Naruto first learned he does possess a little of the wood element. He has been practicing the only 2 wood elementals in the house and can perform both, but not very well, and he had to actually be touching the trees for it to work, so it won't be very useful in battle. But it would help with prisoners. Even though Ino and Yuki had moved and he had not gotten to see them very much. The third allowed Yuki to start teaching to first-year female students at the academy. This is on top of her bi-monthly council meeting she has with the other allied country diplomats with the village council, so she has gone a lot. Ino has also been hard to see. Her family has still had her working at her family shop with the new inventory. Flashback. Tsunade was looking at the ground of the Kazama estate, and Ino had just returned from working at her family shop, and Tsunade said, Ino, can I have a word with you? Ino stopped and said, yes, Tsunade-sama. Tsunade sighed and said, Ino, how many times do I have to tell you, since you are going to be family soon you can just call me, so I won't feel so old. Anyways, how would your flower shop like some of the rare breeds we have growing here at our compound? I need someone to work on the gardens and I really don't want to hire a gardener. You know how much Naruto likes his privacy. Ino said, I know, and that's one of the reasons I love him, but yeah, I can work on the gardens here and use the flowers for the flower shop. Sun smiled and said, just tell your parents they can keep the profits, and if they ever need any help let us know, because our family is not well known for it, but we have enough money in accounts to buy almost all of the fire country, but unlike other clans we don't flaunt it. I want you to make sure all our descendants know this. Ino smiled a sad smile and said, you can count on me. Oh, before I forget. If you see Naruto before I do, my dad went in and put a buffer seal around Sasuke's memories of what happened in the council, and has been returned to active duty starting in 2 days. Poor dad had an episode like Naruto did when he came out and would not let go of mom for anything. I just wished I would have thought of the cure for Naruto like mom did for dad. Tsunade, not missing a chance to learn some new medical treatment, said, so tell me, what is this cure she came up with? Ino laughed and looked straight in Tsunade's eyes and said she screwed him. They both laughed. Flashback end. T9 had just walked into the village gates very tired. Gia said, I want all of you to go to the hospital and get a physical and checked out. You showed your youthfulness on this mission. I am proud and decided to allow you to enter the exams next week. Until then you are all free. And he went to the office. Lee said, as they all left for the hospital, I still can't believe that youthful man had the legendary Raijin sword. Tenten said, I know, I still can't believe what you did, Niji. Niji said coldly, it was fated to happen. Flashback. Idate was on the ground panting, as the missing leaf ninja stood over him preparing to kill him with the Raijin sword, when Tenten threw a kunai at his legs, forcing him to jump into the air. Lee appeared behind him, and kicked him even higher, and proceeded to use the leaf shadow dance on him. The nin used the speed from the attack, to swing himself on a tree branch to fly back into the air for a soft landing on the ground. Niji appeared under him and got into the gentle fist position, and attempted to close off his chakra holes, but missed the ones in his right leg, and instead shut off chakra to his crotch. Kai appeared after dealing with the other 3 ninja, and did the only youthful thing. He gave him a quick death. Flashback ends. Tenten laughed and said, fade my ass, you missed and that's the whole point. Lee said, Tenten is the most youthful of you. Though that does bring me to ask you a question. What made you quit being a member of Niji fan club? Tenten blushed and said, I met a better man who actually appreciates me and is from a loving family that is growing. Niji said, if what you say is true, then fate was kind to you. Lee, getting the wrong idea, started screaming, as he said, oh, I did not, you had done such a youthful thing, Tenten. To be with child already. I must defeat this man that would deflower such a youthful person. If I cannot defeat him, I shall punch a log 1,000 times. If I cannot do that, I shall walk around the village on my hands 10 times. And he took off, forgetting about going to the hospital. Tenten put her hand to her face and said, why me? Niji said, because fate wanted to be cruel. Tenten became enraged and said, that's it. Where the hell is it? Niji said, where's what? Tenten with a twitch said, that damn fate that is up your ass. Niji said, I don't know what you're talking about, and entered the hospital. Tenten followed him and walked up to the nurse's desk and said, our sensei sent us here for a physical. Just then Lee came barging into the hospital screaming, Tenten, where are you? He then saw her and said, Tenten, tell me the name of the youthful man you are seeing. Tenten said, Lee stopped. I am watching Naruto Kazama. Lee said, yes, I will go and beat Naruto for deflowering a youthful girl like you. And took off. The nurse said, so you need a physical and a pregnancy test. Right this way. And started to leave, not noticing the twitch Tenten had. Lee ran from the hospital searching for this Naruto Kazama who Tenten was with, and remembered that he met Sakura at the Kazama household and ran there. Naruto was working on Hiraishin no without a kunai, with only a marker he could place on an object. Currently he was trying it with a 2-tailed fox summon, having it run around the house and him flashing to the position. Jiraiya said, you are doing great, kid. Naruto said, thanks, Iro-senin. I am glad you helped me come up with this idea. It helps to just slip that small seal paper on a moving object, and bam, it works. Jiraiya drank a little shake and said, you plan on using it on him during the test? Naruto said, yeah, but I don't know if I can beat him there. I wish I could try this in actual combat before then, but I don't know anyone besides you and Granny who's fast enough to match his. The fist connected to Naruto's face and he went flying toward a tree and it broke from the force. Naruto slowly got up and saw Lee and said, what the hell was that for? Lee got into the Iron Fist style and said, you know what you did to her, you are the most youthful person. And he charged Naruto and attacked with a leaf whirlwind. Naruto ducked and slapped a Hiraishin seal on Lee's back and backflipped away. Naruto stopped and said, I don't know what you're talking about. Lee said, you really are youthful to lie like that. She told me herself. And charged Naruto. Naruto sighed and used Hiraishin to appear behind Lee and punch him. Lee landed and said, I see you are a master of speed. You leave me a choice. First gate. Kia. Second gate. Kia. Naruto was thinking, oh shit. Third gate Kia, and then the line disappeared. Naruto does not want to get hit by the starter flashing behind Lee constantly to avoid being hit. Several ninja felt the chakra from the gate's opening and came running, including Tsunade Shizune, the Hokage, Tenten, Ino who was taking a nap, and Kakashi. They all landed by Jiraiya, and the Hokage asked what's going on. Suddenly fourth gate, Kia, and Kakashi pulled up his forehead protector and said, damn, they're moving. If I didn't know better I would swear Naruto was using Hiraishin no. Jiraiya said, he is. That boy in green came and said something about Naruto doing something to some girl and attacked Naruto. Tenten finally had enough and screamed damnedly, I have not fucked Naruto yet, so stop. Lee and Naruto both stopped and looked at Tenten. Furious started writing. Everyone else was looking at Tenten when Guy arrived, and said, Tenten, you should not go around telling everyone about your youthful plans. Ino, who was in front of Guy, ducked, as Tenten flew over her to get to Guy, and put her hands around his neck trying to strangle him, screaming, I will show you the power of youth. Shikamaru walked in to deliver a message to Ino, saw the situation, and said, troublesome women and their monthly hormones. Twitch, twitch. Shikamaru suddenly found himself on the receiving end of 4 women beatdowns. Naruto walked over with the now collapsed Lee, and handed him to a still blue-in-the-face Guy. He said, I think he pulled a bunch of muscles from opening the gates. Hiro-san in 200 back-to-back is my limit. And then he fell face first into Kakashi's arms of Kakashi, who caught him. Everyone stopped when he collapsed, and Tsunade and Shizune started taking care of Naruto and Lee. The third sighed and said, I am getting too old for this shit. At least the paperwork's done for the day. Shizune, after forcing a soldier pill into Naruto, picked him up with Tenten and Ino help and took him inside. Tsunade finished healing Lee and said, Guy, if I find out you teach anyone else how to open those damn gates, I will implant you into the mountain. The third walked over and said, the Gaze team recovered some of your stolen property on their last mission. He then handed her the Raijin and left. Tsunade sighed and said, well, I wonder what to do with you, as she walked into the house. Jiraiya finished writing in his notepad and Kakashi said, so is that for the next in the series? Jiraiya said, nope, I decided to start a new series based on Naruto and his little harem. It's going to be called Adventures of an Heir Volume 2. Volume 1 should be released tomorrow, but here you go. An advance copy. As he handed a new book to Kakashi. Kakashi giggled and left, as he started to read. Yuki returned home from the academy and was going to her room when she saw the door to Naruto room open and went to see him. When she got there, she saw Ino and Tenten stripping Naruto out of his dirty closet, as he was semi-awake. Yuki said, what's going on? Ino said Tenten's teammate misunderstood something and attacked Naruto. Yuki said, is he going to be okay? Tenten said yes, he was just a little tired from it, so we were getting him out of these clothes so he could sleep. Yuki smiled and said, when you're both done, can I talk to you both in my room? After both girls put him to bed, they went to the room. Yuki was sitting at the head of her bed, and both girls sat down at the foot of it. Ino said, so what did you want to talk about? Yuki said, I thought about what you said to Ino about marrying Naruto and having kids, and I like the idea, but I got a few questions that might be personal before I completely agree. Tenten said, I also do, so I want to see if either of you know. Ino said, well, I hope I can answer them, or any of us ask. Yuki said, why can't you have kids, Ino? Some things are not right because I noticed when you were moving in you had certain hygienic products. Ino sighed and said, I guess I might as well tell the truth to you both. I was hoping that it would not come to this, but you both have a right to know. Tenten said, what are you talking about, Ino? I have known you for years, but you act like I don't know anything. Ino said, the truth is me and Naruto are not exactly what we appear to be. We both had to make a choice, and now we have to live with that choice. As far as I know, the third, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shizune, Sakura, Guy, Asuma, Kakashi, Yamato, my parents and Kurenai, are the only ones who know. This is a huge village secret. Understand? Yuki said, am I allowed to hear this then? Ino said, I suppose for everything you do for us you do. Yuki said, what do you mean? I have not done anything. Ino said, not yet at least. You see, the choice Naruto and I made allowed us to come back from almost 13 years in the future. A lot of stuff is going to go down, and a lot of people will die, so we came back to change certain events. Tenten said, I find that hard to believe. Do you have any proof? Ino said, I suppose it would be best if I showed you the price Naruto and I made, and then explain it, so you can know it's the truth. She then shapeshifted. Her 2 tails appeared, and her nails and teeth grew. Yuki scooted away a little and said, what happened? Ino changed back, and said it all started when they attacked our village 12 years ago. Naruto's father, the fourth, gave his life to seal into Naruto. The third, for Naruto protection, told all his family that he died during the attack instead of the truth. Naruto grew up hated and abused. After the stuff that is going to happen happened, they told Naruto about a way to change everything. Kyuubi's mate was sent to a different dimension after another demon nearly killed her, so she was basically frozen in time. They said he would give his and his mate's life to send me and him back. But in return I would become the new 2-tail Lord of the Cats, and Naruto would become the new 9-tail Lord of Foxes and King of Demons. And before you ask, we are not evil. We are the same people we always were. Tenten said, so both of you are demons now, but what does that have to do with having kids? Ino said, because of the choice, if and when we have children they would have to live in the other realm called Makia. You see, we have both become basically immortal and can't have mortal children, so I have to use a demon birth control, until we go to the other world in about 70 or 80 years. Yuki said, so you need regular humans to have kids to live here for you, and then we just get left behind while you live in another world. Ino said, no, see, Naruto found this out after we came back. When people die here they go to the other world, and Naruto is basically a village there. He could request certain people, and he wants to request all his friends and family to live there with us for eternity. Tenten said, so when we die we go to the other place and live again with all our friends and family. Ino said yes, and when any children finally die they join us as well. Tenten thought for a moment and said, that doesn't sound so bad, so why go through all the trouble of trying to change things? Ino said, we still want to live our lives and memories here and make new friends. If everyone dies in the next 12 years a lot of possible children and friends would be lost. Yuki said, I understand. I thought you were just wanting to use us, but I see you actually care and want people to live long and happy lives. Ino smiled and said yes. Tenten said, so I guess I am still in. I admit I don't know everything about you and Naruto now, but it looks like I took a long time to find out. One way or another. Yuki smiled and said, why not? I don't really have anything to lose, but time. So what happens that you want to change? Ino said, well, the first thing is the exams. And so Ino told them both about the things to come. After the depressing thing, Tenten said, I just thought of something. You have 2 tails and you say Naruto is the new 9 tails, so does he actually have them? Ino laughed and said yes, and they are cute. Yuki said, really, I want to see. Tenten, me too. So all 3 women got up and went to Naruto's room. Thanks for watching my video. Sayonara.